Okay. Yeah, so I ended up working with that agency to kind of transition my professional reputation and persona out of musical theater and that kid. And I started working on the minute details of trying to build a representation as like a film actor. And I think the common misconception, I want everybody in this room to hear it because it's part of my journey today. If you have been told that you are too much or too big or too obnoxious or too theater for film, whoever told you that is wrong. And I'm telling you from firsthand experience now, have done a lot of feature films, a lot of television shows, a lot of things too that are not currently on my resume or IMDb because it was on the turning side of my faith that I started realizing all of the projects I had tied myself to. And it's another part of my journey today, so we'll get into that in just a second because we're technically started 3 minutes ago. But I kind of was like, I'm gonna do this. So I went to a private Christian arts school where I studied acting and I studied musical theater like I had always. I was in all the shows. I got a lead role in all of the musicals because I had all this experience and I trained daily. I paid for my own voice coach who was like $300 an hour. So every month I was literally like hustling to get to the point where I could pay. And my coach would call my mom. Our deal was the accountability with my coach of, if I'm going to work with him, I have to pay him. And that was like, she wasn't going to work harder than me. And so I was like, okay. So I literally started flipping sneakers on eBay to pay my voice lessons through my voice change from 12 to 15 because I was like, if I don't train during this time, I'm going to end up ruining my voice, right? Because that's a really, really specific time for a male voice. So anyway, if you guys have musical theater questions, come to me afterwards because this is definitely more of the Christian Worldview Film Festival. But that did open it up. And so when I graduated high school, I had won a lot of competitions that my school had traveled to. I had kind of been still holding on to that theater name. And so I was the Christian arts guy that won all the Christian theater competitions. And so everybody was like, ooh, Justin's coming. Justin, what's he singing this year? I'm going to pick it for next year's song and do all this stuff. And it kind of became like fun, but I was like, this, it sounds a little bit devaluing, but I was a little bit like, this doesn't feel like what God has for me because it feels almost too easy. Not in a way where I'm like, I'm so much better than everybody else, so I'm just going to keep singing my little heart out. And no, it was like I had taken years developing when my friends were like sophomores and like, yeah, I guess I'll join theater this year. You know what I mean? And I'm like, man, I've been doing this for like almost 10 years now. At 17, I had been doing it for 10 years. And I'm like committed to this. Like, I really care. So I graduated high school and immediately, like within a few weeks, I was offered a job working with a studio. Sarah's actually here. I don't think she's in this room right now, but Sarah Sipe is around. She's an actress in Atlanta, and her mom called me after. She was one of the judges at that competition, and she said, do you want to come work for me at our film studio where they do self-tapes and coaches and training students? And I caught the bug to influence the next generation with what I had learned. And because I was pretty close to their age as a 19 and 20-year-old, and all of our students coming in were freshmen, and I'm like, you don't understand. God needs men to step and pour into other men in theater, specifically theater, because we need men to stand up because we are constantly losing the masculinity in an art form that is beautiful. And I'm a big, you know what I mean? Like one of my favorite songs that I have added to my book whenever I've auditioned was Bring Him Home from Les Mis. And people are like, I hear the amount of people sing that song, and nowadays, it's like this poppy, like super high falsetto, whatever, and like there's a maturity and a depth to how beautiful that tenderness is in the high tenor range. But I think you have to know who you are as a man of God to sing that song well. And so I never felt like I could do it until a few years ago, and I was like, okay, I'm adding this now. When I start singing and doing more, I'll do that. So that kind of transitioned me into film and television. I was working with the studio. I was very grateful to be doing what I was doing, and I coached a lot of students vocally. A lot of my students went on to either win a Schuler Award, which is like the big musical theater award here in Atlanta. And also, if I say here in Atlanta, we're in Georgia, so I'm still kind of like referencing the primary market. I know we're in Albany. We're basically in Florida, but you guys get it. So I'm going to dive in. I'm 7 minutes into our session, so I'm just going to kind of like start from where we are. My name is Justin Sterner for all of you watching online. Thanks for tuning in and checking this out. You may recognize me as the funny redhead guy in Lifemark. You might recognize me as Ryan Jameson. I'm the one throwing the baseball right above the running the bases. And that was a fun character. It was a great shoot. And then I just recently had a movie go to Hulu with Corbin Bleu and Christopher Lloyd called Camp Hideout. I'm in that one a little bit less than the other ones, but it's still something I'm proud of. And as I adapted and grew as an actor, I watched myself and was like, I'm proud of that. And one of the things that I'm going to kind of draw attention to today is this year that I booked Lifemark was the turning point and the reason that I'm standing here today. Because I spent my entire career running away from Christian entertainment. As a Broadway professional, as a film and television like kid that grew up wanting to be the light in the dark place. So if you're that actor in here that you're like, I'm going to do all secular films, and I'm going to be that guy that shows up on set and shares my gospel. Awesome. But if you're naked and you're cussing the whole film, you lose your testimony. So just take the note. And I'm telling you that from the person that everyone else has told me. Everybody is subjective. I'm not telling you can't do a secular movie. I've done secular movies. I've been in, that word secular is even also a little bit difficult to use. I think I've done films that were not specifically for the purpose of evangelism. That's what I would say more specifically. And that process was really encouraging for me to have. I held on to that growing up. I was like, I'm not going to be the cheesy Christian movie actor. No way. And so I held that. And actually what's interesting is, I can't go into this too much because it's a very long story, but my older brother Jack actually worked on Overcomer. And he booked Overcomer and was not an actor. He had studied in theater, he'd been in a few musicals and a few plays, and he had done a few things. But he was on a camping trip when Josh's dad, Alex, this is Josh, everybody, I just wanted to point you out, sorry. Alex and Steven and the casting director and the whole team had seen a Facebook post through a short film that some other random person did. And they were like, you look like you could be Sherry Rigby and Alex Kendrick's son. Do you want to come in and do it? And because they couldn't afford Josh Kendrick. That's really the main reason. I'm just kidding. No. So Jack called me. So this is just a little part of the testimony as well. But I am currently in a self-tape. Literally. Self-taping myself with my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife. And her and I are reading. And Jack calls me from a mountaintop in Colorado going, hey, the Kendrick brothers want me to audition. What's a self-tape? All jealousy and envy out of my heart. I actually hated my brother, my blood that I grew up with, that I love. And I'm a very emotional person. So if I get emotional telling this story, forgive me. But that process became a year long of me having bitterness towards my brother because he called me with everything. Oh, I'm going down to Columbus. I'm going to make this movie with the Kendrick brothers. They're putting me up in this super cool hotel for 3 months. I'm getting this much money. I'm getting blank, blank, blank. And I'm going, I've done this for 10 years. I've got the best agent in Atlanta that you can have. Literally the number one. I have an amazing manager in New York. I've been working my whole life for this. And my brother gets called from the top of a mountain and he's camping? Come on. This can't be real, right? This is a joke. So I called my team. I called my manager. I said, why am I not reading for this part of the basketball player who plays Alex Kendrick's son? Because I'm a basketball player. And to be real, I am better than my brother in basketball. I love him, but you know what I mean? He's got a funky shot. Love him to death. He'll appreciate that. No. But I did. I had this thing interior. I was like, I don't understand. And it transitioned into me kind of feeling like I got to just keep hustling for this. And you know what? It actually reinforced my running away from Christian. Yeah, well, whatever. It's just a cheesy Christian movie. I don't need to make a Kendrick Brothers movie, whatever. I don't care if my brother's making what I'm going to make in the next 3 months, in a week. I don't care if he's doing that. I don't care, whatever. And it was like, I don't get this. So then we get to the premiere of Overcomer in Dallas. My brother books me a flight, and he says, you're coming with me because we need some stuff to work through in our relationship. And I was like, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to go walk the red carpet behind some stanchion where I can't even see you because you're on the red carpet and it's my dream to walk the red carpet and blah, blah, blah. And I don't understand. I couldn't do it. And he said, no, you're coming with me. We're going to have a good time. You're going to meet everybody. You're going to see what it's like. And I was like, okay. So I'm going to be totally real. This is not even part of my notes, but the Lord's telling me I need to finish this story. So I'm going to keep going. So we get there to Dallas. I'm like running into Priscilla Shire and Tony Robbins, or Tony, is that right? Yes, right? Is that her dad? Evans, thank you, sorry. Tony Robbins is the, you can do it! Sorry, a different guy. Are you the red shoes? Is it because of the red shoes? Anyways. So I went to Dallas. I'm like flying, with my brother. We're doing all this stuff. I'm like, this is like the life I always wanted. I'm like on a plane and I didn't pay for it and blah, blah, blah. This is cool. So we have this moment after the movie, watch the movie, a little bit of bitterness. I'm sitting between Jack and Alex Kendrick. And I'm kind of like, all right, I guess I have to laugh. I guess I have to cry. Oh, wait, I'm really crying. Oh, wait, this story is compelling. Oh. I've been running away for my whole life. And this is maybe what I'm supposed to be doing. And the Lord downloaded it to me in the middle row in Dallas, Texas with my brother and Alex Kendrick, and I wasn't. So fast forward 3 years. I had gone home. I had still made, whatever decisions through my agency. I had booked a few TV shows and a few feature films that were not Christian-based. I did a lot of stupid stuff in those movies. Not like, terrible, but like just, said some words I wasn't proud of and made some decisions that I was like, well, it's a check and it's on my resume now, so cool. And then my agent calls me and she goes, hey, the Kendricks want to see you for this new movie, Lifemark. Okay, sure. I guess so. I mean, they were nice. I met them. It sounded like a good gig. I'm okay with it. So I do the audition, and I actually email it directly to Steven because that was how they requested. Usually, it comes through Actors Access. You go through the process. But I sent it to him because that's how my agent said, hey, just send it to this email. And it was, S. Kendrick or whatever. And I was like, interesting. Also, don't take that down. That's not his real email address. But I was like, okay, interesting. And so what happened was I sent it, and he emails me back immediately and goes, here's 20 notes. 20. Don't do it like this. Don't do it like this. Do this. Mess your hair up. Do this. Wear a different shirt. I'm talking literally, I've never gotten that many notes in my life on an audition. It's always been, yeah, you got it. That was that you booked it. Come on in. Or, sorry, you're not right. And so I was kind of like, okay, I'm interested in this. I'm open to what's happening here. I'm getting the notes. So I went back in my self-tape room. Called one of my buddies at the time. My friend Bridger comes over. Bridger is the one holding the baseball bat in running the bases. Like, bro, I need you to read with me. I got to play, you got to play this adopted kid. I got to share kind of like whatever. And so he gave me notes as well as Steven, and all my community was like, you should change this a little bit and try it like this and then do it like that. And so I got another call back. And this time it was Beverly, and she called me, and she was like, hey, we really like you. You're doing great. We got more notes, jump on, whatever. And so that whole situation turned into, of course, I booked the role. I was on a Zoom for my fourth callback. I was like, who does a fourth callback? Are they serious? So I'm doing it, and halfway in the middle, Alex just goes, stop. Guys, I'm convinced. You guys want to just give him the part? And everybody on the Zoom meeting was like, yes, Justin is Nate. And I started weeping. And I was like, okay, thank you so much. No idea the movie was about pro-life and that my wife and I had been trying to get pregnant. No idea. I just knew that I was this funny kid sharing about adoption. That was literally what my self-tape was. And Alex said, hey, by the way, one thing before you agree to take this movie, how do you feel about the sanctity of life? And I started crying harder. As you guys can probably tell, I'm a very emotional individual. So I started crying harder, and I kind of was just like, you guys don't understand. This is the most important thing to me. I care about everyone because as I've learned about myself and as I have discovered who I am as Justin, I realize I'm unique and special the way God made me, and I am an image bearer of Christ. So if I come to the table as an image bearer of Christ, no one can tell me I'm not right for this. Okay, great. There's another project somewhere else. Hold on. I'll just keep hustling. I'm going to make it happen. And so I got the job, and I told my wife, I was like, I feel this imposter syndrome crouching over on me. I'm supposed to be this Christian actor. I love the Lord. I've grown up in church. I've grown up leading worship. I've done all these things, but I've also sinned so much. And I have made so many decisions in my life that I would look back on and go, wow, Justin, you were totally self-seeking the entire time. What? I was after my way, not God's way. I was after what I wanted, not what God wanted. And I've been telling people the last few years, as my journey has developed into me really trying to surrender my life and giving God the glory and teaching and coming to places like Christian Worldview, that I've had this 15-foot view ahead of me where I'm like, wow, I have all these steps laid out. I'm going to go do this movie and then this movie and then, okay, and then I'll have a little break and I'll go on vacation with my wife and then I'll boom, 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 boom. The last 6 months, I just want everybody to be very clear. The last 6 months, the Lord has gone, whoosh, and now I'm 2 inches away from where I'm. And so now I'm taking steps like this. Oh, our another kid is coming. I can't leave for 6 weeks. I can't make another feature film. I just got off of The Forge. We were here for 4 months. And in total honesty, it was really hard on my family. We were poured into. I made better connections. I grew in my relationship with the Lord. And the most amazing spiritual men poured into my heart every single day. But that also meant that I couldn't pour into my wife and my daughter's heart every single day. My kid is 2. We have another one coming. And so I got home revived and rejuvenated from this experience on the set, and I got to work with the most amazing team. Peyton was my walkie PA. I got to be the second assistant director. So for anybody that doesn't know, he kind of manages the production assistants. He assists the first assistant director, like as the right-hand man, who's on set because the second AD is working on call sheets in the trailer. So my job was to really fill in gaps and help our team do what we needed to do. And we were 3 men under what we should have had. And Peyton wore the hat of 6 different PAs, and I could cry talking about Peyton today, but I'm not going to. Peyton's also a great actor, so hire him. So anyway, so that kind of experience led me to being on set with Lifemark, and I got there, I'm shooting, I have this imposter syndrome that's kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing. And on day 1 at lunch, I start crying. And God's like, Justin, something's happening. And Sherry Rigby comes over, and I'll be indebted to her my whole life for this, and she's like, something's wrong, and we need to talk about it. And I was like, I'm not supposed to be here. I love the Lord, but I've been running away. I've talked poorly of the Kendrick brothers. I'm like, whatever, Facing the Giants, who? Cheesy Christian movie. I don't want to do this. I don't care about this. And so I went over and I talked with Stephen, and Stephen was like, tell me everything. Tell me your journey. Tell me why. And so I explained to everything, and Stephen stopped and looked at me, and he was like, can you imagine what kind of movies we would make if actors like you stopped running away from cheesy Christian movies? I was like, okay, this is it. That day, I called my team, and I had a couple things brewing. I'm not allowed to say what they were because I was NDA'd at that time, but I had a couple things brewing that would have changed the trajectory 180. We're talking massive, massive deals. And my agent at the time, People Store, is a great, credible agent here in Atlanta. Definitely not like the believer agent, but so my agent called me, and he's like, hey, I heard you're doing this other movie, and it's non-union, Lifemark. He's like, I got to let you go. I'm like, okay, I don't need you anymore. I'm good. Love you. Thanks for all your hard work. I appreciate what you've done for me, but I'm ready because God's got me on a totally new journey. And so I called, and I was like, I'm ready. I'm done. So when we had that conversation, it moved on to me signing with a great new agent who I love dearly, and she's awesome, and she's supportive of me being a dad first, and a husband first, and a believer first, and a teacher first. And I get to travel now and speak to people about my experience and my testimony and go, I don't need another movie this year. If I get to say one thing that inspires you to make a decision to follow Christ with your career, then I'm good, right? And that's the kind of heart that we have to get at. So I'm going to jump into some slides here. We're going to get, because I could just keep talking this quickly all the time. So this is me. Hi, everyone. Whoops. I do everything for these 2 individuals. That's my daughter Evangeline and my wife Amber. That's also Evangeline, but that's like 8 months earlier. This is actually at Josh's youngest sibling soccer game. We went and watched her play soccer, and it was awesome. So these are my rocks, and I'm so grateful for them. And usually my wife is with me teaching because she's an incredible actress, and she's so gifted at teaching. And she's very pregnant, so she's at home, and I'm not here. I have students that are working on these major platforms. I coach right now when I'm not on set for a film or a show, and I get the blessing of being able to pour into individuals virtually through Zoom online once a week. Grayson's sitting in the front row. We meet weekly, and we've had a great experience getting to know each other, but also trying to decipher what does it look like for him to step into the industry? What does it look like to come in with everything ready, prepped, and who I am, what I bring to the table, and not, I have to change 100 things about myself to get a role. That's not what we're after. I'm going to be honest, I actually don't know what's next. Oh, so here we are. How do you represent yourself? Cool. I'm going to tell you guys a story. This is me on the left. in a musical called Just So Stories, and most of you probably have never heard of it before, but Rudyard Kipling is one of the great child authors that's always produced amazing books for children, and he's got a collection of poems and a collection of things, and so they put it all together for a musical. And my mom discovered it when I was in high school, and she said, "We're going to do this musical because this is what the world needs right now. Like, kids need to do this show." And I'm going to read you the poem, but this is my character I played, and literally clinically insane Rastafarian chef. My opening song was, "Leaving on this island, standing in the red seas, nobody dispute." Like, literally, that was my kid the whole time. And so I was like, okay, this is me. He talks to his stove, this cooking stove over here in the middle. That's his best friend on the island. And if you go read the story of the Parsi Cake Man, you'll know who this is. So go read the Rudyard Kipling's version of Parsi Cake Man. The reason I'm bringing up this story and why I decided to start with a theater story is because I think I've run into this over the course of the last few years when I'm teaching. There's a lot of actors in here who started in theater or who are currently in theater. Raise your hand if you're a theater actor who are currently trying to do a show or you're going to audition for a show this year. This is a big thing. And so we have the ability to kind of step away from our theater roots or background, bring a different element through film and television, and there is an adaptation. Adaptation. I don't know what the word is, but you guys know. You have to adjust. There are things you have to do. I can't be the same character that I am on stage because I'm talking to somebody 1,000 feet back than I am when a camera's on an 85 4 feet away from me. There's a difference. But you still can bring your tools, and it's like the foundation of acting. In dance, for any dancers in the room, we take ballet, you learn all of the positions, you learn flexibility, you learn core, you do all of these things, and then you can transition that to hip-hop and to lyrical and to tap and to all these things. So you have to have that foundation, and for me, theater was my foundation into the industry, and so I'm gonna trust some of the things that I've learned. I'm going to adapt the other ones, but I'm gonna lean into those tools and recognize that my punctuality and all of these things that make me a great theater performer turns into making a really great film performer as well. So this story is really powerful, and the plot is about the elephant's child, who, if you've ever read How the Elephant Got His Trunk, you would know that the elephant travels around asking all the different animals, how did you get your spots? How did you get your mane? How did the rhino get his skin? How are you who you are? I don't have a trunk, and I don't know who I am, because I don't have this trunk that's supposed to be, and I look around at my parents and all the other elephants in this group, and they have trunks, so clearly they know who they are. So he travels around, and finally he can't figure it out, and this kind of evil crocodile comes out of the water and snaps onto his snout and pulls at it until he has a trunk. And he's like, you weren't willing to wait until you adapted, so I just forced you to become who you needed to be in this moment. It's a beautiful story, but the narrator of the story is the eldest magician. He plays the Aslan character, like from Narnia. He's the god figure, and so he wrote this beautiful poem, and I'm going to read it to you guys today. But as a good musical theater kid, a couple months ago, was listening back through the song, trying to adjust my book. And I'm just going to be really clear too, again with the theater thing. It does not matter that I'm not currently auditioning for Broadway or auditioning for musical theater. It's one of my truest passions. And so I am adapting and adjusting my book of audition songs every year. Literally. Still coaching with a vocal coach, still singing my heart out. I'm proud of it. I coach people in it. I do that, but I'm not in a musical. I don't have any plans in the next year to be in a musical, but it's still something I do to hone my craft. So if you're like, I'm making the transition to film, I'm never singing again, don't lose that skill. You have no idea. I have no idea if Beverly's going to call me and go, hey, we're doing a musical and we need this funny Rastafarian chef, and me go, guess what? You don't know who I am anymore. And then I'm ready. But here's the thing. You still have to have that skill, and you need to keep those things sharp. If your Actors Access resume, special skills, recently I was doing a coaching session, and somebody on their special skills put Irish dialect, and I said, great, let's have a conversation in Irish dialect. And she goes, okay, hold on. I think I maybe can do. And I was like, nope, take it off. If you're not actively talking with your coach and you're not right away saying, "Oh, top of the morning to you. It's great to see you. I'd love to have a conversation before we go down to the park," and then you're not ready. That should not be on your special skills. And I believe, and she probably can nod at the back, but like if you're putting it there and you're not able to do it right there, right in the moment, and be committed to it, not for an audition, not for one day, but for 6 weeks and never lose it, it shouldn't be on your special skills. I get really passionate about this, so if you guys get intimidated, just tell me to back down, okay? That's really important. These are all things. If you sing-ish, maybe you should coach and ask somebody. Go to other people, and that's a big part of what we'll talk about. But back to Eldest Magician. So this Eldest Magician wrote this, and it's technically a song. I'm not going to sing it for you guys because I don't have the backing track. But he opens the show with this, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful ballad. And he comes out, and all the animals in the show don't have any colored costumes. They're all in these like pale skin. You can tell that's a giraffe. Oh, that's an elephant. Oh, that's a rhino. But none of them have their features that make them who they are. And so he comes out and he says this. If you can, and this is word for word Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head up when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowances for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired of waiting. Let that one sink in. Or being lied about, don't deal in lies. Or being hated, don't give way to hating. And yet don't look too good and nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master. If you can think and not make thoughts your aim. If you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same. If you can bear hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools. Or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn or pitch of toss. If you can make one, and lose and start again at your beginning and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there's nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, all men count with you, but none too much. If you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. So he sings this to this beautiful group of people. It's this powerful opening song about individuality and finding who you are, but also not being tied to that and recognizing all of these intricacies of life. And as a high schooler, this is a lot of information, but when I'm backstage flirting with the cute girl from middle school or from high school, and I'm in this musical and this is going on in the front, and I'm like literally not even paying attention, who cares, whatever, I never let it sink in. It didn't hit me this way. So I did the show. I was the fun character everybody loved. I'm signing autographs for the kids at the end of the show. I'm doing all this stuff. And it was like cool. But then recently I'm listening back through the musical and going, this is a vast depth of wisdom and knowledge, and I don't understand why I missed it. It's because my focus was not on how I can grow and develop as an individual. It was what I can get for me, how I can live, how I can have this counterfeit life that's based on satisfactions that are temporary. So that was this kind of turning point for me through high school of being in this show and then being in all these other shows and having teachers around me and people that loved me and teaching me and coaching me and doing all of these things, and then not really knowing what it all was for, not knowing what I was going to be doing, not knowing how I was going to transition that into a career. And we're right now in a world where everyone kind of is living this life of be who you are, and you should respect others for how they are. But then those same people are building trending fads and trying to manipulate us to be like everyone else. And as an actor, I think it's the thing, the conformity culture, I think, is the thing that is detrimental to our self-growth and development as an actor. And I think one of the things that is important for us to realize is it's definitely harming everyone. Conformity is harming everyone. But for us, who have to be something and be someone and be someone else often, where do we start from? if I walk around and I only bought these shoes because somebody said those look cool and I have those shoes, and if I did this haircut because this haircut is the cool thing to do right now and all my buddies are doing it, and so I'm going to be the carbon copy of my buddies, like, how am I supposed to step into another character if I don't know who I am as Justin? Right? And so we have to do the job. We have to do the due diligence of knowing who we are in Christ and knowing who we are as an artist and what we bring to the table. And this is something I'm still figuring out. I've had these conversations with people in the last year or two where I'm like, I think, honestly, she's here, so I'm just going to keep calling her out. But Beverly and I had this conversation, and Charlotte just recently, and I was thanking her for things she told me a year or two ago where I was like, I think I'm going to try to lose 50 pounds, and I think I'm going to start speaking down here because I would really love to be the cop, and I'd really love to be the military guy, and I'd really love to, and I'm just kind of done with this funny high school kid because I did 5 feature films back to back for 10 months where I made almost $100,000 as the high school kid. What? I'm being cast, I'm living the dream, I'm traveling with my wife, I'm doing all of these things that I've ever wanted to do, and I'm finally doing them for the Lord, not for myself. And actually, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to do something else because I'm broken. And because it's okay for us to want more and to desire to develop and to step into other characters. But I was being drawn away because too quickly I was experiencing what it was like to have this, and I started this entitlement thing. And so running the bases was great because right after Lifemark, I'm literally shooting Lifemark, and my agent calls me that I had just signed with during shooting Lifemark, and she's like, Justin, you booked it. I'm shooting Lifemark. I'm like, what? Getting an email about the next rate that I'm getting, and I'm like, this is it. I figured it out. Thank you, Lord. I see now. I'm going to deliver myself, and I'm going to surrender, and you're going to bring it. I got it. That's how it is. And that was what it was like for that year. And we shot a lot of movies, and we met a lot of people, and I got to influence a lot of people, and I still get emails about these movies, and people come up to me all the time and tell me how Ryan Jameson or Nate or something that I said or did in a movie really impacted their heart and their life. And I'm like, wow, thanks. I don't know. I was just kind of being Justin. I was just kind of being Justin in these movies. Why do I want to be someone else? Why am I still okay? And so the last couple months, in the last year, I've redefined what I actually want. And it all comes back really to my wife and kid, and go, I'm okay. I'm okay to not be Chris Pratt when he's, now in Guardians of the Galaxy. But also, he spent 10 years as Andy Dwyer in Parks and Rec. And I've only done this for like a year and a half where I'm consistently working. So maybe I'm being a little impatient. Maybe I'm pushing. And somebody said this recently, and I really love it. If you're being typecast, you're being cast. So all the people in this room, like, you're getting a job. You're making a check, and there's hundreds of thousands of actors all over the world who don't have agents, who have never booked an audition, who have been doing this for 20 years. And they're still committed. What right do I have to walk in the other direction and say, you know what? I guess I'll give it up now since I'm not playing the new characters that I want. No. I'm going to continue to be Justin. I'm going to recognize that my skill, my ability to improv well, my ability to bring energy to a character, to be comedic and open a story up for the message, because I believe that humor does that. Humor's the soft place that people are like, oh, I laughed at this film, and oh, I'm now crying. But sometimes that laughter's the first thing, right? As actors, we're not about giving our emotion. We're about how we hide it. And sometimes we hide our emotion when watching films, and when we're like, I don't know, looking at a piece of material, and we're like, I'm good. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to. And then now here we are. But sometimes that icebreaker that gets us there is something funny, and you realize, oh, I am a human being. Oh, I like to laugh. I like to smile. I like to look at others and to be, impressed with others. And it doesn't have to be about me, right? So we're going to dive into more. I don't remember where I was. Yes, it makes it, so this conformity life that we have developed into as actors is the hardest thing, I think, that is influencing us, because we're constantly being pulled in these different directions, and we don't know how to come back to our root, which, of course, is our identity in Christ. But there is also practical tools, I think, that we can do to figure out who we bring and what we are. And, like, as a professional, you know what I mean? I'm not the Hallmark beautiful leading man, and I'm okay with that. Like, I don't need to be the guy that sweeps in from New York with his business case and he's like, hey, I know. Or the lumberjack with the vest and he's like, oh, interesting. I haven't seen you in a couple of years. You know what I mean? Like, that's not. And then they get married and you're like, wow, that's great. But I'm not that and I'm okay with that. What I am is the best friend of the lead character who owns the coffee shop who's like listening to hip hop music. And I'm like, yo, dude, you were coming over for coffee? Sick. Okay, hold on. I'll see you in a second. Just stirring this latte and da-da-da-da. Oh, hey, cute girl from college. And hey, yeah, he's still around. Careful, he just broke up with his other girlfriend. That's me. And I'm okay with that. And I love those roles. Let me tell you, first, anybody that's married in the audience, this is going to hit home for a second because the Lord's telling me to say it. I actually want those roles now because I don't want to be put in a position where I have to go and be the romantic interest with somebody else. This is hard because I have a desire. There are characters that I do want to play and there are roles. And I'm open to every role. And I pray every time that one comes through. And I'm not saying I'll never do those. But it's easier for me to step on a set and not go, well, I have to play a character who's into someone else. I could just be that guy. And usually my character is not super in love with the other women or the other chicks. And in Running the Bases, the girlfriend was my wife. So Ryan Jameson got to go home and be in bed with her, which is awesome. So sorry if that was too much. Anyway. So we're going to talk about headshots here for a second. I have one of my headshots, and this is Arthur, and I got his permission from the Creative Exchange. Actually, Diego's in the back. Say hey, everybody, to show this today. This is Arthur, guys. Check that out. I want to cast him. Bev, you want to cast him? I don't know. Yeah, like right. Look at him. He's got this great look. You know what he told me when he came up to me to take his headshot? He's like, "Don't edit it much. Don't take away my wrinkles." Don't change my eye color. He's like, I play the grandpa and I want to get the grandpa. I play the old cranky man who's shooing you off my lawn. I want that role. Do you know how refreshing that is? When somebody says, that's what I want and don't change who I am. Like, I was like, Arthur, yep, I got it, dude. Hold on. Click. We took four photos. Sorry, I took three. We did 3 edits, but we did 4 photos. And each one different and unique. My character over here, this is just kind of a basic headshot. I'm going to be real. I'm in the process of updating these because I've constantly gone back and gone, it's a little bit dramatic for me. You know what I mean? It's nice. It's just a kind of a sweet, that's Justin. I have a little scruff, so I'm not like the senior in high school, but you could see it. There's a couple things here. I'm going to show you guys the next 2 images. What changed? His eyes. We removed some of the aging under his eyes. I clarified his neck. We've done a lot. We've changed a lot. How many years do you think that he bought back in that headshot? 10? Who said 10? 10 years? I would see at 10 maybe. Yeah, I could see maybe early 60s, maybe not mid 70s. I don't know. But guess what? That is the most common question that I get when shooting headshots. Can you take out the bags under my eyes? Can you take out the aging? I can if it's because you didn't wake up on time. And I can tell that as a professional photography. I go, no, that's how you are. I'm not going to, you know what I mean? We're going to keep that there. So we took this, so I edited this. What changed with Justin's? Anybody notice? Say that again? Yeah, my eyes got a little bit more blue. I added a little bit more tan because I'm kind of a fairer skinned individual. Anything else? You can say it if you noticed it. It's cropped differently. Thank you, Bev. I'm going to go back to my other one. I took out my double chin. You guys see it? You see how I have some neck stuff under here? That happens. I'm a young dad. I eat. That's a joke. That's a joke. Now I just grow a beard to cover it up. No, I just enjoy this. No, so I cropped it out. You want to know why? Because it took me half a second. I just, boop, take it out. Easy enough. Do I just more look like a husky individual? Maybe I have a six-pack, no one knows, because my face kind of, does it change that much? Maybe not, but it makes me feel more comfortable putting that in front of people. You can't do that. We've got to keep authenticity in our photos. And when we look, and honestly, the crop thing, when casting looks, you guys, when they look at your profile, and I got the chance to do this for a pilot I directed 4 or 5 years ago. We had 2,000 submissions for our lead role. And so I'm constantly just like me and our other team, because we didn't hire a casting director. We didn't have the money to. Sorry, Bev. And I know, boring. Literally. See, amen. So, and I honestly wish I did, because I spent way too much time in prep doing casting when I could have been doing other things. So I'm scrolling, but literally scrolling 2,000 submissions, guys. If your photo is in a 5-row across and it's half your body, it's not a headshot. It's a portfolio print piece of lifestyle Gap ad. You're going for target. You know what I mean? It should be right here. We should see your eyes. We should be drawn in. We should be pulled. Okay? This is not as much of a plug for me. I did this at Creative Exchange, and I actually thought I was never going to do it again because it was such a blessing, and I also was kind of a little bit overwhelmed by how many I had to edit. But the festival asked if I would do it this year because they saw it, and we had a lot of people reach out. And so I am shooting headshots tonight for the highest discount I've ever gotten, and really it's only covering the time that it's going to take to do the slight color retouching and cropping and forwarding. So if you guys want to do that tonight from 5 to 7, go upstairs and you can come, just give me your email and sign up, and you can take a photo with me. It'll take 10 minutes. But if you need one picture that's real, if you need a picture where we talk about your type, where we look at you and say, I see you as that guy. You know what I mean? I see you as the guy who owns the bait shop, right? That Arthur owns the bait shop. You know what I mean? He's the grandpa. He's the sweet gardener who runs into his you know what I mean? It's like, those are characters that are real that we want. Do we all want to play the action adventure star? Yes. I would love to punch somebody in the face on film. I think it would be so fun to be the guy that, like, doing that, you know what I mean? But no, I'm a couple years from that, and I'm okay with that. So whatever your dream or your desire is, I'm not telling you that you can't have that. But going back to Rudyard Kipling, if you can dream and not make dreams your master, that is the thing that we harp on. That's the thing that we come back to and we go, all right, I have this desire in 15 years to be this character. Great. But if you're spending all your time and energy developing that person, okay, but you're not going to work right now. But if you just walk into your self-tape, if you walk into your casting, if you walk into whatever, and you're presenting as that character, chances are you're probably closer to a job than trying to develop the person that's 15 or 20 years away from now, right? I'm interested this year of just taking a little bit of a kind of a slower pace and just recognizing that I'm ready to re-engage in the industry as like a cool maybe young dad or a cool husband, or like I'm cool with playing those roles, and I'm interested in all of the period piece work because I love dialects and I love to be those. So I'm going to continue to hone those skills and be that person that's like, I'm working on my French, I'm working on my Irish, I'm working on my Australian, I'm working on all these things. Because I actually read those characters, right? And so I'm playing characters where I'm like auditioning with those dialects, so I'm cool with that, and I'm okay to own that. I don't need to be like trying to set myself up as the leading dude who makes the most money in the movie. And like, I kind of love to like be at home with my family and coach all my students, and then leave for a few days and shoot a movie for 3 or 4 days, and maybe be gone a week or 2 at the most. But that's kind of a nice thing right now for me. And I'm telling you guys, from living the dream of traveling the entire year to now not really wanting to leave my house, there's a blessing to just kind of surrendering it over and being like, you know, kind of what Cameron said today, like, Lord, if you want this, bring people to me that tell me I want you in this project. I want you to produce this, or I want you to direct this, or I want you to act in this. There's freedom in that, and it's beautiful. Hard to keep jumping down. So your imperfections are what make you human, and production teams want human beings. Okay? I don't know if anybody was super aware of what happened with our SAG strike. It doesn't really affect a huge percentage of non-union work or work that's faith-based in film, because we usually are not going SAG, but we do often, and so sometimes that is a thing that we have to be aware of, right? This SAG strike was all about AI and protecting our rights and protecting all of these different things and raising the cost for people. And so on the headshot topic, we struck for 5 months. Sorry, I can't swipe now. Hello. Oh, it's not there anymore. Interesting. That's the last slide I have. Okay, sorry guys, the PDF did not generate. Basically the next slide is pretty much my last. That's not true. I have more slides. Sorry guys. The next slide is me basically explaining that the strike was about your imperfections, so put them forward. AI is coming, And we are worried and fearful, and they're going to generate animated versions of us. Whatever. I mean, okay. I don't have all my cards in my career right now, so I'm okay with that. But your imperfections, the things that AI can't generate. And maybe it can if you're like the person in here who's like, actually, if you type in, you can put a scar on your left eyebrow. They'll put it in. Okay, whatever. You get what I'm going after, okay? I can't step in front of a camera and be authentic and be who I am and lead with like what I look like and what my hair is and how my teeth are and what my eyes are like. Like that's who I am. So soon they're going to be able to just create, I want Justin but a little bit more attractive. Sure, okay. For the world standard, that's cool. But I'm married and I don't need anybody else to think I'm attractive at this point. You know what I mean? So I'm cool, whatever. I'm fine with the adaptation. So I'm trying to see if this will pull up. Let's see if present works. Present full screen. Nope. Anyways, that was there. Sorry guys. I'm wondering if maybe I deleted it too far. I did. Hold on, stand by. It's showing up right now. Because these last two are kind of important. Hold on just a second. Thanks for your patience, everyone. Go ahead, try that now. There we go. Let's try it. So I'm really passionate about self-tapes, and this is kind of one of the areas that I'm going to like hit on for a few minutes, and then we're going to open up for a few questions. So the headshot thing, back to it. Be yourself. If you want a headshot, come see me tonight. I'm going to shoot one for you. We'll talk about your character. We'll talk about your type. We'll get it knocked out, and I'll email it to you. It'll be great. This for self-tape demo reel, I just want to kind of like take a few quick minutes on this because this is super important. I did this last year where I talked about like if you have a ring light and it's right in front of your face, okay, cool. But casting is seeing full circles of ring lights in your eyeballs. And you look like an alien. So if you're playing a character from 1840s, your chances of them buying it are even a little bit less. Are you a great actor? Probably. Did your tape crush it? Were you so proud of it? Probably. Did you weep tears and it looked cool? Sure, okay. But if we are doing very little things that are hinting at this not being authentic or not looking like the film or looking like, a tape that's just, putting our best foot forward as our calling card with this self-tape, then the chances are they are having to work harder to see you in that character than anyone else. So my big thing is when we light a self-tape, you should learn set lighting so you light the way that they light. A key light, a hair light, a fill. That's it. It's as easy as this. And let me tell you something. It doesn't cost you more than $100. And if you have to save and or if you have to sell a stock or you have to do something so that you can do this, I'm telling you it's worth it. There are $40 Amazon lights that you can do this with. You can do them with just your sunlight too. You go to Walmart and you buy a poster board that's white and you tape it to a chair as the fill and use the sunlight to bounce off of it, and you have a key from the sun, which is really hot. You have a little bit of shadow, and let me tell you why. It's not just because you look great in your self-tape. It's also... This is a diagram of it. Here we go. So key light, main or fill, it doesn't matter. I'm going to be real. My wife is the greatest example of this. Amber has this really crazy scar on part of her face, and she just got it when she was little. I don't remember from what. But when we do a self-tape, if we put the light on the scar side and she watches it back and I forgot, she's like, no, flip it around. And I'm like, oh, okay, sorry. Put it on the other side. Because guess what? She wants production to know she has a scar. Not because it's her favorite feature, but because if that is that's a limiting factor for her to book the role, she wants to be upfront about it so she doesn't get her hopes up. If they cast her and they get the headshots and they get the pictures back and all of them were edited out and that scar was taken away and they go, ooh, this is actually, we have to bring in some putty. Our special effects makeup team is a little bit not as great as we want it to be, so we can't do that. So just put it in your self-tape. If you're a heavier set individual, if you are husky like me, right, where you're kind of like, whatever, here we are, you know what I'm saying? You just light it and be yourself and show up on camera so they know Justin looks like this. This is how this person acts. This is what they look like. This is how they show up on camera. Because you don't want to be the person who used the gimmick or the low light that cuts out the under chin and the other light from this corner that's way too bright so that you're softening your skin, to then you show up on set and the makeup artist go to the director and say, hey, we got a little bit of a problem. And talk to the first AD. This has happened on every film I've ever first assistant directed. We have to add an additional 40 minutes for them to get through the works. Do you know what that does to my movie if I'm the AD? That ruins my entire schedule that I just spent a month working on because you lied in your headshot. That's tough. I know Alan talked a lot about this yesterday. I'm adding maybe some different elements that the schedule changes on a movie if you weren't honest in your self-tape. Take that note. Because you have to be authentic. You have to, because you're saving everyone in the collaborative team time in your... It's like wild to me that, I don't know. And we've all done it. I'm going to be honest. I have been the person early in my career where I was like, okay, I'm going to do no salt before my headshot session. I'm going to drink juices only. I'm going to show up. Here we are. This is my self-tape. I'm going to lean forward. I'm going to have the camera this high. No way. No way. Put the camera at eye level so it sees how much you weigh, but look right across from it where you're looking at your reader. Do the best performance that you know how because the Lord has specifically made you to be who you are, and book the job or don't. That's it. There's nothing more to it. There's a lot more to it, actually. These are some interesting types. I pulled up Forrest Whitaker, who I love to death. He's an incredible actor. Forrest is like an Oscar winner. Like he's like the best, right? He's like one of the best. He is 99% played characters who were slaves. His career is made up of period piece films, and he's not going, I have to be the cop drama now. If he turned down those work, he would never be Forrest Whitaker today. If he had this dream of this desire to be whatever, and you know what? He's got a little bit of a lazy eye. He's got some bigger ears. This is all public information he's talked about in his interviews, right? Is that a little bit like not the most American beauty pageant thing? No, but he's doing okay. You know what I mean? He's living life. Chris Pratt, we've talked about Chris. One of the things I'm going to hit on here is his character type, yes, is amazing. He played Andy Dwyer. He played all these funny comedic characters. And then a producer from Marvel was like, hey, am I right, Marvel or DC? Is it Garden? Thank you. The producer came to him and was like, hey, you should consider maybe spending the next year and just seeing if you could like really bulk up a little bit. It was an honest convo. And if Chris wanted to be like, nah, I'm good with who I am, totally fine. But Chris was like, yeah, I could use a challenge. And, my career's doing okay. And I've spent 10 years as the funny guy. Sure. But guess what? He's also the funniest supervillain or superhero, I think. He's still Chris Pratt. He just maybe looks more like a superhero, right? But he did for so many. Melissa McCarthy is awesome. I love her, but she knows what she brings. She shows up on set. She knows, and she tells people, if you want me in your movie, I will bring me and I will do my improv thing and I'll do my fun takes and I'll honor your script. I'll do what you ask me to, but just know that I also creatively have some things about this story that I think would be influential if I changed them a little bit. So can we collaborate on this? And if they say no, she's good. She walks away into another direction, right? Catherine O'Hara is a great example, amazing dramatic actress who we've all seen in the Creek movie, just for the online, the Creek show. You know what I mean? She's hilarious. But she has this ability to just kind of float. She's a little bit different maybe in that way, where she plays a ton of different characters and she's versatile. My wife's this way. My wife has an incredible dialect where she can do lots of dialects. She can play the period piece. She could play the young mom. She plays the nurse. She plays the day player who comes in and is a receptionist. She can kind of do all of those things. I can't. You know what I mean? I have a little bit more of a niche type, and I know that, so we have to kind of decipher who that is. I need one volunteer. Let's just pick one. Sure, come on up. This is great. What's your name? Jeannie. Welcome. Can I hold? Okay, there you go. Jeannie, somebody raise your hand. What would you cast Jeannie as? If you're a casting director, everybody go ahead. Teacher. That's a great one. Chad. Hollywood studio executive. Have you ever heard that before? No. Have you ever heard teacher before? No. What have you heard?
Mom.
We just added 3 to the things that she feels confirmed and encouraged to play. My encouragement to you guys as actors is to step into a room to talk to your friends who are maybe your more honest friends. What do you see me as? How do I present to you? Oh, you think okay, maybe I'm not that character? Thank you, Jeannie. You're a rock star. You can sit down. But ask. Get this information and ask people, okay? That's it. That's all we have. Those are the other slides that don't make sense because those are from Canva. Thank you, Canva. So that's kind of the end. I honestly, guys, as I was prepping for this, I realized I know I'm going to go over because this is Justin. So I just kind of cut my notes off in the middle. I was like, I'm just going to open it up. So if you guys have questions, self-tapes, headshots, we can find in chat throughout the next day or two. But any questions or thoughts? Go ahead. Ooh. Oh my gosh. Which you totally can do because you're hilarious. Ready? I'm going to tell you something that I would have never have told you 3 years ago when I was trying to do this a lot more. Don't spend $1,500 on a demo reel. Get a really good monologue that you love. Shoot it in your house anywhere and put it on your Actors Access. Like if I believe you, if you're hilarious. Marianne just really inspired me recently, guys. She did this amazing, beautiful, dramatic monologue, and she just did it at the house to inspire herself. She's like, I'm going to do this because I'm proud of it. And it was amazing. And I watched it and I was like, man, that's the kind of thing that we should all be doing all the time. We should all be writing material and shooting it and producing it. One of my students recently she's great. She's I want to say she's 50, 55. She plays this very regal, like she could be the secretariat woman who's Tweety, whatever her name is, Mrs. Tweety. And we talked recently about like, what if she just went into her kitchen, turned on all the lights, brought her self-tape in as a reinforced motivated key, if anybody studied with JT yesterday and did his lighting course. What if she just brought in her quick softbox light to her kitchen, stood at the kitchen counter doing dishes, and did her Southern Belle accent, hey, honey, I got some tea coming out of... Oh, my word, Jason, come on. And boom, 30 seconds. What? Does that help her get that job? I think so. That's my opinion. We don't have to, we spend all this time building demos and we cut and we spend all this money and we do all this stuff. Like, you can do things with your iPhone in your kitchen that will represent you better than anybody. Shama's an incredible content creator, you guys. We talked for a long time recently about like shooting and producing things, and him and I are filmmakers. I have $15,000 worth of film equipment. What do I do with it? I shoot myself doing stuff. I set up really great key lights and backlights and all these things, and I light the whole space because I love it, and I put in a film, and then I color grade it, and it's for an Instagram reel. Shama does that, and he's really popular because of it, and people love his content because of that. So do it. Shoot it. As an actor, you have the resources in your pocket to collect information, specifically in a comedy. I would tell you, too, I'm pulling up again. Last night, we were talking about shooting different reels, but following the practices that built through cinema, which is establish the wide, where you are, shoot in your environment, where you're on a medium, lens or whatever. Use your iPhone on 1X. Back up. Shoot the space. Oh, she's in the kitchen cooking. Boop. Cut it in on iMovie or in your phone. Now you're in the tight, and just look down. Be a good actor. And let me tell you the first thing, creating material like that and producing it, even if it's through your phone and you have one light than Amazon that you spent $15 on, put it up. I guarantee you're going to be a better actor because you're going to watch and see how bad you are or how good you are. And you're going to go, ooh, this is a good character for me. Write it down. This is one of my types. Interesting. I don't know if I believe myself in this. Hey, honey, do you believe me in this? No, babe, I don't think I do. Thanks. That's not one of my types. Right? I'm going to be real. Most of my demo reel is the same kind of character. He's boop, 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 funny, doing whatever. So you know what I did? I found this really fun hip-hop track. I put it under my whole demo reel, and I cut the track out when I hit the punchline in my demo reel. So it's like, and I'm like doing my funny, hey, Robert, come on in here, blah, blah, blah. Or, yo, right now it's David with Lifemark, right? And he's like, hey, but, ooh, okay, we're going the other way, and blah, blah, blah. And then It stops, and I hit the punchline, and it is literally just kind of reinforcing that this is a joke, that this is comedy. That's my comedy one. My drama one, I've done the same thing, though. I found a score that I could put underneath 5 or 6 of my dramatic clips, adding them back together and going, this feels like cohesive. It feels like I'm watching Justin's body of work put together, and I know Justin is a talented actor, or Justin is not right for the part that I want to be. The industry's a lot more honest than we think it is. You know what I mean? Other questions? Sorry, I just ranted on that. Yeah. It's a great question. There are lots of ways. Right now, we're in a referral industry only. I hate to say it that way because it feels a little bit less attainable, but right now, you really do need to connect with a coach or and I'm not selling myself. Like, if you have somebody in Atlanta or wherever you're from and you just like talk with them, or if you know somebody in the industry that has a great agent, you're like, hey, would you mind watching a couple of my clips and telling me if I'm good or not? And, that puts I tell people you set sail on the creative sea, and if you're not willing for people to blow cannon holes in your ship and start to sink, you're not doing your job right. I want to set sail and let people start sinking my ship so I know where I'm weak, so I can fill in those holes and become a much stronger reinforced ship, right? So do that first. Talk to people around you and ask them, like, do you think I'm good? You know what I mean? Do you think I bring something to this, or show people in your environment, your community, and be like, what would you guys say? And if everyone's pointing you back to like you need to find an agent, then you can go through IMDb and you can like look up agents that are in the right space and just try to be like, I think I want this agent, and email your stuff to them if they have a portal. I would say if you're like hacking the system and you're like finding contacts, like be careful. This is for example, because they're in the room. If I didn't know Beverly personally or she hadn't cast me before, I probably wouldn't text her or call or find her. Is it possible to find her number? I really hope not. Could you? Maybe. You know what I mean? Could you ask a friend of a friend who's best friends with Bev, who's like, sure, I'll share. Because not everybody does what the industry should do, which is, hey, someone's interested in talking to you on the phone. Can I send your phone number? Sometimes it's just like, sure, here's my contact. You know what I mean? We gotta be respectful and courteous to these people, because a lot of these people have so much going on in their life that they also, need to space their time out in a different way, right? So I would just say to be really careful about like directly emailing people. There are ways to hack the system. I know Alan talked about this a little bit yesterday, but like be cautious and pray and ask like if this is right, then good. But that's good. And honestly, the referral thing is the best. So meet with a teacher or a producer or somebody who knows a great agent and say, hey, I trust this guy. I've seen him work. He's got a good work ethic. He's talented. Maybe you'd be interested in representing him. Or go to their website and see if there's a submissions page where you upload your headshot demo reel and a few things about yourself. That's the best thing. So, anyway, yeah, go ahead. That's a great question. I would say I think having anybody to represent you is better than you representing yourself always by yourself. My whole thing today is represent yourself authentically through the tools that you have at your disposal. So set your Actors Access up and start self-submitting yourself through Actors Access by yourself as your own agent, where you're submitting in your market. If you're from Austin, Texas, go to the Southeast breakdown or wherever the breakdown is and click Austin, Texas, or whatever the category is, and start seeing things that you're right for and send your headshot. And if casting wants to see you, they're going to select you, and then you're going to get a self-tape without needing the agent. Everyone can do that. It's available. Secular, faith-based, you have to just know your team. I've had a lot of, this is the number one thing I'm trying to push people for. If I meet anybody at Christian Worldview Film Festival this year that's like, I'm really interested in being an agent, I'm going to put them in touch with my agent and say, if you could like give them some pointers or tell them to start, because we need more faith-based agents. We need people who are really great. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the way I do it as a coach is when I don't require any of my students to, like, I'm not saying you have to pay me before I'm telling you that you're good. Usually I have a free consultation with me where I will look through your actors, and it fits. It's like 20 minutes. It fits between all my other things I'm doing all year. And I'll quick jump on, I'll click the Actors Access, I'll click whatever, and I'll go, yeah, you need some work. If I'm being real with you as the person who, like, God is called to be real with actors, like, this is what you need. You need a better headshot. We need to work on some monologues. You need to understand scene breakdown and character analysis and these things before you're ready to step in. But if this happened 2 weeks ago, and this kid just booked a Netflix movie. He called me, and his parents were like, hey, he's really talented. Would you work with him? I hopped on. We did our first lesson. Then he signed up, and we did like a real lesson. And I was like, your kid's really good. Hold on. I'm going to send him to this agent. So one of my close friends who's an agent here in Atlanta sent him to, he goes, dude, I have a part for him right now to audition for. Within like 72 hours, he was in a Netflix movie. You know what I mean? He went from not even being an actor to being in a Netflix movie in a week. I'm not telling you that's everybody's journey. It's probably like the tiniest percentage of anybody. But that's how I do it. It's just I have to identify if you are decent and worth me putting my name behind. And let me just say this for everybody here. If you get referred, be sure that you want to be an actor. Don't let me make a referral for you, and then 6 weeks later you're like, I'm out. There are really good lawyers that are really good actors who actually practice law more than they do act, and I put into contact with an agent, and then the agent's like, oh my word, I just want to give him so many. I've got hundreds of NCIS wants to read him, and Criminal Minds wants to read him, and everybody wants to read him. He's so good, and he's booking all the time, but he keeps saying no because he has court. Great. Love that you're an amazing lawyer. But if you want to do this is, JT said it last night about life, about being in lighting. This is not a career, it's a lifestyle. And I'm not saying sell your souls to the industry, but trust that God is calling you. Take the step of faith and go, I'm ready to do this, and be open and available to do this. I can't tell you how hard it is for me as a coach or as an actor who puts my skin out for other people. I just, and then go, you signed on the dotted line, and you're now within a year, and like everything you book you say no to, or everything you're reading you say no to, or I'm too busy, you know what I mean, I'm too whatever, like, okay, then you need to reevaluate whether you need to be an actress or be in the entertainment industry. So yeah, maybe one or two more. No, that's kind of it. One more. Caitlin. Boundaries. This is my favorite question. You just tell them. And if your agent doesn't want to respect it, or you continuously you literally send an email and say, here's the deal. I will not say GD, JC, and I'll not get in bed with another woman. There's mine. Anytime I sign with anybody, that's it. You want me to say anything else? I have to pray about it. Am I the drug addict guy who happens to be roaming the streets, who has a bad mouth on him, but he's going to lead the story to Jesus at the end of the movie? Sure. There are people that have that. Am I the young kid who's rebellious against his parents and who's making bad choices? Absolutely. You know what I mean? I'm telling you mine. God has to tell you yours. Tell your team. I will and will not do this. Mine are that's it. I won't be in bed with another woman. I won't say JC or GD. That's it. Those are the non-negotiables. Now every project comes up and I'm like, underage drinking, I don't want my 8-year-old when she grows up to Google me and go, Dad was in a movie that like glorified underage drinking, and the end of the movie it wasn't everybody should now be in love with Jesus. It's just a funny, interesting, entertaining teen rom-com about a party. That's not that. What am I teaching my kid? You know what I mean? That's what I would tell you. Just tell them. And if they don't honor it, bye. See you later. I don't need you. We all die to get agents. We all want the manager. We all want those people. And then they bring us work, and then you have to say no to that work. That's not the right person for you to be working with. You know what I mean? It's time to just see, okay, bye. I thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Be honest, be respectful, and then transition from that to go, I gotta reevaluate. I got to relook at life and go, okay, there's somebody out there that wants me, that's going to put me in their films, and keep coming to Christian Worldview. Keep meeting people, shooting short films, doing these things. If you're hungry to be on set and hungry to use your talent for others, use it and do it for free. Do it. And if you have to work 5 jobs back at home to support yourself and to take 1 week off a year to be on a movie with your best friend who's the director, do it. Over the course of the years, if you feel God calling you to this, he's going to make a way. What did Bruce say last night? God has a plan. And for your life, he has a plan for you. Okay? And he's gonna open that up. Guys, I'm gonna just say a 30-second prayer, and then I'm gonna send you out. If you want to keep talking, we can have conversation before the next session, and find me later on, and come shoot headshots tonight if you want. Jesus, thank you for this group of people. Thank you for their hearts and their desire to be creative. Thank you that you have brought them here to the Christian Worldview Film Festival in 2024. Lord, I just pray a blessing over all of them, that they would walk out of here feeling supported and encouraged, that they would feel a tangible thing that's ahead of them, and Lord, that you would call them or call them away clearly. That you would tell them this is right for you, or for the person in this room that really wants to be a production designer that is maybe on the fence, that you would tell them you're an actor or a production designer, or you are, just open their eyes, Lord, to what you want them to do and to use their life for your purpose and your glory, and then bring them from glory to glory. We love you. We're so grateful for you. It's in your name we pray, amen. Thank you guys so much.